All right, going live in 3, 2, 1. If you really want to know some of this truth, you're already here. Welcome to the family. To Marfoogle News. If you really want to know some of this truth, you're already here. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Today we have a lot to go over in a short amount of time. So remember, you have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on marfooglenews.com. When you go there, you'll see that it is all organized by thumbnail. All you have to do is look for today's thumbnail. Info got leaked. Now we are all in danger. And, of course, river turn reds. Nationwide chaos. Major leak threatens America. Will this escalate? There's much more than that, too. We're about to talk about China. In fact, China erupts. This whole deal that they said was going to go through has now not gone through. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will explain. So if you haven't heard about Donald making comments about the Panama Canal, he essentially said, hey, you know, the U.S. people perished building the Panama Canal. Thousands and thousands and thousands of man hours building the thing. We give it to Panama as a gift. And then essentially now fast forward, you have China in this huge contract essentially controlling the damn thing. Donald has not only talked about and even not ruled out using force to take Greenland. He has talked about the Gulf of America instead of the Gulf of Mexico. And he's talked about the Panama Canal. Well, the other day, it looked like there was going to be a peaceful kind of resolution to this. And it even seemed like everybody was high on hope that it was just going to go fluffy. I literally said when we covered that, I said, this just seems way too easy. Now they're saying that China is erupting and has hit back at the United States, accusing it of coercion after Panama decided not to renew an important infrastructure agreement with Beijing. This move came in the wake of a threat from Washington, D.C. to reclaim the Panama Canal. Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Yan said at a press conference that China, quote, firmly opposes the U.S. smearing and undermining the Belt and Road cooperation through means of pressure and coercion. The Belt and Road Initiative, a cornerstone of President Xi Jinping's foreign policy, aims to connect China with other regions through extensive infrastructure projects such as roads, railways, airports, power plants, and more. The kind of thing that if China, big, rich China, compared to these little countries, builds for them, that they will most likely never be able to pay back. We're talking about things in the billions, if not trillions of dollars of an investment. And then, of course, they go, hey, we'll build this for you. You just got to pay us back over, this many years. And, of course, with interest, right? When they cannot pay it back, then China has these countries in their pocket. It's kind of a playbook that the U.S. sort of had in back then as well. But really, Xi Jinping looks at, I think, he is heavily inspired by, of course, Genghis Khan, who did the Silk Road, and this is much like it. They essentially are trying to be the country that opens up trade to the world, and of course they are one of the biggest producers of almost anything and everything. They are the manufacturing company, and almost all of the countries around the world, if you haven't seen the map we've shown you many times, from 1979, I believe, or 1981, whichever one of the two, when they opened up their country to capitalism and said, hey, to the Chinese people, you can have businesses, you can make money, you can be a billionaire, but you have to basically give a cut to, Big Daddy up top. Since then, back then, almost the entire world was blue, traded with the United States more than anybody else. As you go and you fast forward through the years, it is absolutely terrifying. It is one thing that shows me that World War III is definitely on its way, at the very least, us taking second spot at some point if we're not careful. Essentially, it shows the United States not being the one that everybody's doing trade with. The entire planet turns red, and now you fast forward to right now, and they're saying that China's broke and all, and I just don't believe it. They are hoarding not only gold, money, they're hoarding gas, they're hoarding food like no one has ever seen before.
And they are also building up their military like no one has ever seen. They're building up their military like they are currently in a war, yet they are not. So what the heck does that mean? We're going to talk about it and much, much more on tonight's show. So stick around. This is one you don't want to miss. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Now, a quick reminder, the Panama Canal and the actual event that just happened right before they erupted and got mad was their withdrawal from the agreement, and it was perceived as yielding to U.S. interests concerning the canal, following a warning from U.S. Senator Marco Rubio to Panamanian leader Jose Raul Molino. Rubio said on Sunday that Panama must curtail what former President Donald Trump described as excessive Chinese sway over the canal zone or risk repercussions from the U.S. There are trade wars going on. There's money wars going on. There's going to be hot wars, in my opinion, going on. And this is a massive, massive, massive canal that has a chunk of the world's money move through it every single day. So this is a huge deal, and it very well could mean a huge escalation. We'll be covering it. We'll be following it very closely because this is something that is way more serious than most people that don't follow all of this even can comprehend. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, as far as China, we got the impression, remember the other day I said, this seems too easy. Like, it sounded like they said that China was totally just cool with it. Like, oh, you know what, cool, we're going to back out.
Yeah.
You take it, you know. Don't think so.
No, I don't think they're happy with it at all. And so the question is, what's going to happen with, the controlling interest there with the Hong Kong company. I believe it's, I can't remember the name of it, but the Hutchinson's port, that a Hong Kong-based company was granted a 25-year no-bid extension to manage the canal. That's Chinese based now, or Chinese owned. So the question happens that. But the other question that was going on is there was a lot of, speculation that we were going to get our military ships to go through for free. And that was said too. But then I also heard that the president, not our president, but the president of Panama came out and said, no, we didn't expect to give that for free. So we don't know what's happening with that too. So stay tuned. We'll see how that actually pans out. If we get a free pass to go through the canal, or if they're going to continue to charge us every time our warships go through.
Yeah, and they're essentially saying that they're looking at both sides of this, and that they're trying to work out the best thing for everybody. They're trying to come up with a compromise. This is a massive deal, and it will end up being a bigger chunk. How the pattern goes is usually be about a week from now, and it will kind of rotate back into things, and it will be even more important then. So we'll come back to it. If not, usually that's what you call a psyop, is when they never update you on it and it's just some sort of big distraction. I don't think this is, though. This is a major canal. Everybody around the world is trying to take these spots. And to me, you guys know, I explained the other day, I think it's because they know something that we don't. I mean, that's obvious. They know a lot of stuff we don't. But what if there was something that is coming that is far worse than any of us could imagine? In fact, so bad that they can't tell us because we would start panicking. Again, there's some public stuff that we know about that. I mean, even if you go with just like regular, mainstream media and scientists, they're saying that the world's resources are running out, and in 30 years we're all going to be wearing masks and rebreathers. So no matter how you kind of look at it, things aren't looking too happy. And then let's go over to Trudeau. Says that Trump talk of absorbing Canada is a real thing, says source. This is wild. So, when he said, oh, yeah, made a joke about it being the 51st state, or I don't know who was making the 51st state joke. It might have been Trump. But he definitely, made a joke about Trudeau, saying Governor Trudeau, everything that he says, even in his goofier tweets, there's a kind of a message there. Like, he doesn't mince words in a way. At the same time, he just kind of blurts out things. And it comes from, his lifetime of entrepreneurship and, being bang, bang, let's get this done kind of thing. And it is really, really wild if this is truly what is being talked about. And again, I kind of circle back to the fact that there's something that we don't know here. Why are all of the governments of the world, including our own, trying to grab land? Now, some would think like, well, why weren't we trying to do this 4 years ago or over the last 4 years? And one thing I have to say is a lot of people question if just a few years back, if the people that were in charge weren't actually, compromised and paid and had somebody in their pocket that was guiding us towards something that would lead us, as number two instead of number one. So, with him coming in and the actions he's taking, one question I have is why the hell weren't any of these actions taken before in the last admin? It really makes you wonder. All those last 15 minutes of the presidency pardons also make you wonder too. But again, everybody has their opinions. Also, some people think that T-Man could be the bringing of the Antichrist, that he could be the bad guy that brings upon the end of the world. Everybody's got a different view on this, but one thing I will tell you is I do truly believe that something massive is coming our way. And it's been visible for years. And the people that, are going to deny it up until the last second, I think that they're going to be proven hard wrong. The talk, as far as this goes, Dex, it's really wild to think that this may be true, that they're talking about absorbing it. That would be a massive kind of thing there. We've got spy planes and military possibly over Mexico, and now they're talking about possibly absorbing Canada, if this is true.
Well, yeah, certainly it sounds like at least Trudeau's point is that it is a legitimate concern. He was having a private meeting, closed door session with the business leaders and the labor leaders about how to deal with the tariffs, the threat, I guess I should say, of the tariffs, because they haven't actually happened yet. And he said in there that, they're very aware of our resources and what we have, and that they very much want to be able to benefit from those. So he said, Mr. Trump has it in mind that one of the easiest ways in doing so is absorbing our country. And it's a real thing. So I don't know if he's saying it's a real thing for them to consider, or if it's a real thing in that, Trump really means doing it. Now, mind you, at the end of the day, Canada doesn't have much of the ability to defend itself. It has to remain allied to America. I don't know what the trade economics are between our two countries offhand, but I imagine, there's probably a bit of a indifference, but that's understood too, because it's a huge country with not a lot of population. So it can't necessarily, withstand a massive GDP, although it does have a large number of resources. So, it is, easy to think that something like this could go on. And the question is does it make Canada better for them to be a state, or does it make them better to be an independent country?
And I want to point out, if some are wondering the validity, they are, the Toronto Star is saying that these are accurate statements. And get this, If you didn't think this was weird enough that he was saying these things, right? Guess how they found out about this? It said that the Toronto Star essentially said that they reported this after it was accidentally put on a loudspeaker. So this was a closed-door meeting. And, it says that Trudeau made the remarks during a closed-door session of the business and labor leaders on how best to respond to Trump's threats and tariffs on Canadian imports. His comments were first reported by the Toronto Star, which said they were mistakenly carried by a loudspeaker. So talk about a hot mic that these guys are in the back room. I'm surprised, that we don't actually hear accidental hot mics more often with some of these guys. They must really, in the governments of the world, they must really, really have a good system, because I'm surprised we haven't heard something like somebody accidentally blurt out like, oh yeah, by the way, the world's going to end in 2032, or something crazy that everybody's like, what? We've had hot mics over the years, but not as many as you would think with how stupid these people, in some cases, are. I mean, all politicians are pretty bad. I mean, pretty much everybody agrees that bureaucracy is not exactly a great thing. And then we have an aircraft matching description of missing Alaska plane found, Coast Guard says. Before we go over to that, I do want to say thank you to Didika. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support yesterday. Chris, yes, Chris, Jen, Nathaniel Williams, Ashley Tolliver Wilson, Kat, thank you. Me Puppet 007, Olga Turan, Matt Burgess, Bandy Bear, Bill Fortenberry, Stephen Click, Rochelle Cooley, Christy Roselle this month, Robbie Skykiller. Rochelle, again, thank you. Appreciate not only your attendance, but your support of independent news. Thank you. Dennis Hall. And then make sure to thank all of your mods down in the chat right now. If you haven't already, drop an M in the chat. Dex, so what are they talking about this found aircraft, and what are they actually talking about that it matched?
Well, so last night, a small aircraft, but I think it had about 10 passengers on it, went missing in Alaska. It was flying from a small town. It was headed from Unalakleet to Nome. It's in western Alaska, and its position was lost about 12 miles offshore. So it just disappeared off of radar, and everything was missing. So they've been searching for it. Matter of fact, even today, the FBI said they were joining in with all the other resources to search. It's a very difficult terrain. It's very cold and icy conditions. So they were trying to, expand the search parties to see if they could find and locate this plane. Well, apparently they have found a plane that matches the description. So more than likely it's it.
So we'll update as they come out with more information. We'll see what ends up actually, happening with that. And then before we move on, I want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Grid Down. Again, this is a great company. Again, we waited a very long time to actually be able to affiliate for them, because this is tied in with EMP Shield. Every unit is going to come with an EMP Shield, right there. So again, this is going to be protected against not only electromagnetic pulse attacks from an adversary, it's also going to be protected against a Carrington level event from the sun. Now, they have different units. Most people will probably go for just the main actual head unit, which is the bug out. But a lot of folks will end up getting the XP as well. So the cool thing about this is the actual peak is 6,000 watts and the continuous is 3,000. For a long time, people asked us if there was a solar generator that had a higher capacity, something that could really power some of the bigger stuff and to go really the length. This is a very, very cool system with lithium iron phosphate. It is lighter, but this thing is actually really beefy, but yet still carryable. That's something it doesn't do justice in the pictures. This thing is absolutely just a beast in how it's built. It's built like things used to be built. It's the only affiliates we pick up. If it is a machine or say, a freeze dryer or any kind of thing that we have represented, I make sure it's something I physically touch, hold, at least to see like how it's built. Because I believe things should be built like they used to be back when you had toasters last 50, 60, 70 years. Then the companies realized, well, if we build a toaster that lasts 70 years, then nobody buys another toaster and we never make any more money. I think that's how it should be, but again, they changed things and made them crappier and crappier. Now you buy a toaster for $8 at Walmart, it's going to last you $8 worth, about 2 years at most, right? These things are built to last. Not only that, with the new technology, the new lithium iron phosphate, it's going to have less degradation. It is fast charging. This thing with a bug out XP, over 4,000, almost 4,300 kilowatt hours, can charge in just about 4 hours from the wall. They say 2.3 hours, but I believe that's like the main unit. Altogether, about 4 hours, which is insane. 4,300 kilowatt hours is absolutely nuts. Again, and then you have different units. You have the head unit, and then you can actually get 2 XPs in a kit with almost 7,000 kilowatt hours. They also have the readout. Again, check that out. Those are the walls. If you were outfitting a whole house, this actually might be the option for you because it has so much of that power. 13.5 kilowatt battery. That's insane. And then they have the 108 kilowatt wall. So yeah, that's up there. That's like somebody who's investing in their house and trying to increase the value of their home by adding solar. Marfooglenews.com/bugout. Make sure to use the code MARF. And remember, all of these are portable. You can take them with you. If something goes down, not only are they going to be protected, they're going to keep the lights on. Marfooglenews.com/bugout. And make sure to use the code MARF. You're helping us, you're helping yourself, and you're getting a big discount while doing it. All right, and then let's go over to Trump. Border czar Tom Homan vows to probe leak that stifled ICE raiding targeting Venezuelan gang in Colorado. And it's funny because we haven't really heard much about this Venezuelan gang, and I have pointed this out numerous times. I'm like, what the heck happened to the TDA gangs that took over apartment buildings? Well, apparently they were quietly coming up with plans to take these guys out. And guess what happened? Somebody leaked that plan. It's straight up treason. Everyone I've talked to today says that this is something that, you know, if this is American citizen, something like that, Guantanamo Bay with him. I mean, like, this is a big, big deal. And it's a very scary thing that you have one side of the government and one side of the party in both ways, both directions, trying to sabotage each other in the most savage ways, to the point where, I mean, we're on the cusp of a civil conflict as well with how divided we are. Dex, the border czar Tom Homan, who actually we almost had him on the show, he's actually partnered up with EMP Shield as well. He was going to go in there and try to take these guys out. What happened?
Well, apparently the folks or the gang members were being told, leaked the actual plans that they had drawn up on how they were going in to go after this, you know, these dangerous gangs. So somebody is leaking the ICE and Border Patrol plans out in advance, and this is not a good thing. This is actually, you know, for that to happen.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's almost like there's a war going on, and that's where you got to think about, what does this mean from an escalation standpoint? Because if that's the level we're getting to now, where we're sending out, you know, our members, in uniform to perform a job, and somebody's undermining that job, it's going to put everyone's lives in danger. And it's like they're working for the enemy, so to speak.
Those guys are just taking orders. They're doing their job. They're going to go into a situation where they could be ambushed, and we could really see just an absolutely horrid event where you have, you know, a SWAT team, or how, I don't know who they're going to send in to do these things. ICE agents, right? They're going in, and it turns out that their locations are being told. I mean, this really looks like part of our government is literally working with the enemy. Well, it doesn't surprise me. This is TDA. This is Venezuela. The whole thought, and what I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that possibly our government has been compromised for quite a few years, and that people were either turning their heads the other way, purposely sending our weapons elsewhere, purposely leaving our weapons somewhere else, You have giving billions and billions and billions of dollars away. In possible instances, depending on who you believe or what you believe, we've had events happen across the country that make it look like our infrastructure is being torn apart one little piece at a time, from factories to warehouses to animal and agriculture to, of course, fires and emergencies and all sorts of other things. I mean, this isn't even crazy stuff. If you look at what is actually happening right now, it looks like there is a huge, huge chunk of compromised people in our gov. And I bet you just that statement alone it might get you on the silent skies list or something, right? But even further than that, we have the FCC chair says it is really concerning that a Soros-backed radio station exposed undercover ICE agents. What the hell is happening? Dex, what do they mean by exposing?
It's not just one thing in Colorado. It's now happening in San Francisco, and it seems like a concerted effort. So you've got a radio station that's literally live broadcasting the location of undercover, not just out in the open with, the big, black jackets and, ICE written across the back of them and written down the sides of the big trucks and stuff. No, undercover ICE agents. So they're broadcasting it in real time over the air. KCBS 740 AM was revealing live locations of undercover ICE vehicles and the agents that were conducting operations in the San Francisco area there. So so it's more than one. It's probably more than these two. That these are the two they're really talking about and bringing out as examples. But it certainly points to this idea that there is some major dissent even within the government and getting information and trying to do something against the government, and that's what's getting really scary.
And the three-letter agencies, everybody's known for years that three-letter agencies have worked with cartels. You're talking about TDA. This is a Venezuelan gang / I don't know if they're classified as a cartel, but you've got these events that are happening that are also tied in with countries that are directly tied in with all of our adversaries. So something massive is happening here right underneath everybody's noses, and the majority of people want to tip their head up and say, nothing's happening. The same people that say, everything's a nothing burger. Nothing is actually happening. Nothing will ever happen. I don't believe it. In fact, I believe that we are seeing the lead up to one of the most insane wars we have ever seen. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, thank you, Darren. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you, Verse Co-op. I appreciate you for subscribing as well. Mackenzie Lee, thank you for subscribing. Neil Nelson, thank you just a second ago for subscribing. Georgie M. Wilson. Max Steele, nice to see you. And then, of course, Stealth Mode. Thank you, and thank you. Russia withdraws North Korean troops in Kirks after losses, Seoul says. And, of course, this is coming from Seoul, the presidentless country right now, or they have an interim. North Korean troops sent to fight alongside Russia in its war against Ukraine have not seen in battle for several weeks, raising speculation that they have been withdrawn after suffering heavy losses, according to South Korea's spy agency. The National Intelligence Service in Seoul this week confirmed media reports that North Korean troops had been pulled from the front line around the middle of January. Wonder if they're saving them for something else. It says that North Korea began sending an estimated 11,000 troops to the Russian Kursk region in late 2024, soon after the North's ruler, Kim Jong-un, and the Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed a mutual defense pact designed to strengthen their alliance. Now, remember, that's the same kind of agreement happened right before they started actually sending troops into an active war zone that Russia and Iran just signed as well. I think that they're pulling back, they're regrouping because something bigger is about to happen. I mean, heck, in the time from when this started to now, all of Syria was taken over. in 11 days, we had a revolutionary that somehow magically got all of these terrorists to all sing Kumbaya and take over Syria. I mean, you've got so much weird kind of speculation around what the heck this could be. It is out of this world. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. So what is happening? Dex, do you have any weird theories about what they could be doing by pulling these people out?
Well, what's
Or are
strange
they
is
gone?
there's a couple of other reports that have happened over the last week. One was from somebody in Ukraine who was describing what it was like to go up against the North Koreans, and he said they were like, not ambushing, but just running out, like they were, in a World War II era battle, like literally coming out of the wood lines by the hundreds, just out in the wide open and just running, like they were just raw. And he said it was ridiculous because they just mowed them down. Like, it was not tactful at all, given modern warfare tactics. So that was one interesting thing, but you don't know how true that is because it's coming from UKR. And then the other thing was there was rumors last week that, Kim may be sending more troops in. So if maybe he is sending more troops because they did get annihilated, or maybe that's all just Ganda to make us think that way.
Yeah, anything that comes out of Ukraine, I double ask because, I mean, heck, look at all the weird stuff surrounding it. Look at all the money that's went there. Look at the 9 people right under Zelensky that resigned. I mean, I didn't think they should have resigned. Like, I think it's completely normal on a military, pay grade. You should be able to afford a supercar or 2, right? And a mansion. And your life should look like a beer commercial, right? Absolutely okay with that. So I don't know why they resigned. I personally, if I was there, I would have said, hey, guys, stop. Just tell them the truth, You deserve it. That's what I would have said. You deserve it, Vladsky. I mean, just take, just take. It's not your money. It's the U.S. Americans' money, right? And then Russia, of course, is also commenting later this week on. There's a couple press conferences coming up. We'll be following that, and hopefully nothing too crazy gets put out. But again, we'll be watching. And then Trump directs Elon Musk and Doge to review Pentagon spending. Every day it's been like, oh, snap, who are they going to go after next? Now they're saying they're going after the Pentagon. If this is truly what's happening, like if this isn't just some big show that's totally pre-planned out and we think that all of this is really happening, and say if this is truly what's going on, that they are shaking up the entire system, do you think that we're going to be in peace times for that much longer? I mean, really look at this. You've got half of the government and half of the rich elites on one side, and you have the other half and the other rich elites on this side, and they are going to battle. And who is the victim? I believe it is going to be all of us, and that applies to anybody, even if you're in UK, Australia, Canada, or future America, as we call it here. It doesn't matter. It's all going to be affected. The entire world is going to be affected. Because these are fighting words. Elon Musk going through with a fine-tooth comb through the Pentagon. After this week, of course, we saw that they just went through the Centers for Disease. They just went through the Atlanta headquarters. They went through and looked at the FAA. In fact, Elon just 2 days ago or 3 days ago had his whiz kid team go in and look at if they could fix the FAA from a digital standpoint to see if there's anything archaic that they can cut out and upgrade it all and everything else. I mean, they are every single day announcing that they're going to basically tear something up. And I don't see how, with the very scary rich people that have been in power, how they're not going to claw on like a Terminator chasing a 1990s car. I don't see it, but do you? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, I have a guess that they're going to find massive abuse of money. I bet that they are going to find a $80 million program, and I'll just babble on, be this, like, that is for grannies that want to live youthful. Just some crazy program that it's like, what? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting the reactions that we're seeing from everyone on both sides. Like, those that are for it, like, they're in awe, like, oh my gosh, can you imagine all this that they're finding? And then I sort of roll my eyes and go, well, we all knew it was there, we just couldn't see it. And then you got people on the other side that don't even want to talk about it; they just want to talk about him and point or the young kids, as they call them, that how could these young kids have access to everything? Well, they're not young kids, they're computer programmers, and they actually have some technical chops behind them, not just and they came probably from other companies that Elon worked with or has known. It's like he just grabbed kids off the street and said, hey, go in there and start working on this stuff. So but yeah, they're going to find stuff everywhere they go. I don't know, look, we've covered, like, the Pentagon has failed its own audits every year. So if they can't even pass their own audits, wait till they get audited by Doge.
And no, I disagree. No, I read in a newspaper, I've got sources, bro, that these were children. They were legit, like, that they should have called the board, like, these were children fixing the FAA. Because that's what Elon does. I learned it from CNN. It was exclusive. So I'm pretty sure you're wrong about that these guys had skills. To me, it looked like they were Neuralink hooked up monkeys. But again, I could be wrong. Casey, nice to see you. Jonathan Floming. We've got Mike Geyer Labonte. What a cool name. John Fresh. I don't know why that makes me think of Cream Frige. We've got Cameron, WIS Jen. We've got TL Orca, Meat Papa 007. Thank you. Brian loves bacon. What's going on? Briar Patch, Smoke and Swamp Outdoors. Tammy Driver, nice to see you. I am feeling better. Unfortunately, I'm not done with all of them. I've got 4 more months, so I appreciate all the positive vibes. I still have a massive thing going on over here that they have to do more bone grafts. So not looking forward to that. So I really do appreciate all the kind words I've gotten over the last month. But right now, it seems like this half is pretty much healed up for the most part. I still have to wait months to actually put the tooth in. So thank you guys. Donnie Newman and White Roses, Robert Kennedy. Hey, White Roses, no skills. Yeah, exactly. Marion, I agree. Elon has his own school for gifted kids, by the way. Yeah, Elon may secretly be Xavier, right? Dex, right? Isn't he Xavier from X-Men? Oh, I just made the connection. X-Men. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. You guys get it. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out Harvest Right if you haven't already. Again, if you haven't seen, right now they have one of the biggest sales they've done since, of course, Black Friday. They have the February sale for Valentine's Day, and for, of course, it's actually all of February. So make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/freeze. You have, of course, a ton of awesome deals going on with all of the affiliates right now. February is really, I believe it's a slower time, so they all end up doing these really cool sales. But again, freeze drying is one of the best ways to preserve food. You can actually make your own food, customize your own plate. Of course, you can freeze your garden. You can, of course, preserve it for over 25 years in some cases. So again, freeze drying usually preserves more of the flavor and more of the actual nutrition in the food. It is definitely I believe the more efficient way to preserve food, next to dehydrating. But at the same time, you do have to invest to get into it. if you are going to invest into something like this and get into the hobby, get into the prep of it, then I would highly recommend getting one of the best machines out there. These were so hard during CV to even get. People were scalping these for like 7 months during the whole period when you couldn't get toilet paper and all that. So again, if there are these kind of bad times, if you do want to get something like this and get into it, it's not only for, say, even if there is no emergency for the next 3, 4, 5 years, you're preserving food for 25 years. It's way cheaper to preserve your own food rather than buy prepackaged food that you're basically paying a company for their 24 hours of freeze drying. You're paying them for their packaging. You're paying for everything else. When you can get the Mylar bags, you can get all of the stuff, have it just as professional at home, and be able to choose exactly what goes into your stuff. If you want to grow your own cow, if you want to have your own cow and cut that up and preserve it, that's something you can do. You'll know exactly what's going into your body. So go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. Again, it is the best way to go. Very, very easy to do. It is a cool hobby in itself. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. And why we believe now too, especially, is anytime they have a sale, we pass that on to you guys. Of course, when you go get this, you're giving us a commission, which helps us, and you're getting something that could possibly save your life down the road. For the next couple years, if there's no emergency, okay, well, that's when you start stocking up. It takes a long time to actually stock up a lot of food, but what's the alternative? Are you going to go buy a $400,000 pallet of freeze-dried food that's going to last you 2 years? Probably not. This way is a way that you can do it over time. All right, again, that's marfooglenews.com/freeze. And highly recommend getting it before a disaster. A lot of people think that everything's going to be, hunky-dory. And then river in Argentina turns bright red. Now, I will ask the chat, is there, what do you think about this river turning red? Now, I've covered tons of these stories. Usually they say it's algae or it's something in the water that changes it. A couple of the times when it was in, the Middle East, it was really freaky because it's like straight out of biblical times. In fact, about 5 years ago, we covered almost all of the plagues happened at once. In about a year's time, we had locusts, we had frogs, we had flies. I mean, it was just spooky. Spots on people. I forget. It was like all of the things except for maybe one. And then they said that residents expressed alarm and say it's not the first time the waterway has changed color. Is something like this a sign? Very creepy to say the least. A river in a suburb of Buenos Aires in Argentina has turned red, sparking concern among residents. Footage and images of the Sarandi watercourse, which flows into the Rio del Plata estuary, shows the sudden change in color. Does that not look straight up like BLOOD? I mean, that is very spooky. The sky shot shows it going into the main waterway. I mean, that just looks spooky. One of the quotes is, "I've lived here all my life. Today we have this red water. It has been gray. It has been green. It has been violet, bluish, very brown, but never red. On the other days, we have a thick yellow layer that left the top hard and had an acidic smell." Or is something getting dumped? Is some local corporation dumping some crap that's doing it? Is there some sort of Monty Burns down the street dumping three-eyed fish? What is your thoughts on it? It looks definitely very gross. Dex, we've covered quite a few of these. I guess, does it matter the location? Like, I would think location matters to, say, biblical prophecy and things like that. But, is anybody saying any of that kind of stuff around this?
I haven't heard, but they don't even know what it is. They say just the officials have taken samples to start testing to figure out what's going on. It sounds like they may have a pollution problem if they keep getting different colors. But in the past we've seen some of these things happen, like red tides and other things like that. And there's natural, reasons for it, or at least, nature is acting up. It may not be natural for nature to do that, but it's doing it. There's an explanation. In this case, we don't know yet.
Well, we'll follow it. With something like this, we'll always follow up on it, and we'll try to see if they end up finding that crazy, weird algae that they found prior in other rivers. We'll see if somebody's dumping. What will those samples actually declare? I'm surprised that they have taken samples. I guess they reported it before they could get those samples back. You would think that they would be able to figure it out pretty quick. So hopefully in the next week we'll have an update. And then Dale, thank you everybody that is watching the replay right now. I appreciate you guys. Thank you everybody that made it live so far. Thank you. And we have FBI warns iPhone and Android users delete any text received. Now, more specifically, there are certain texts, and how they read it is essentially these texts are from what the scam right now is that they're potentially from a local toll road. So if you have a freeway that's a toll road and you have, the Easy Go Pass or whatever your city calls it, they'll send you a text saying, hey, you owe money on this. Well, they're not only saying that, hey, if you click on this, you might have identity fraud, or they can get your information, they can get in your phone. They are actually saying delete the text altogether because these might be part of an attack. Now, that part that they added in there, they usually just keep that quiet. We have seen so many times other than this where infrastructure or anything communications-wise, cable internet, any kind of cell phone thing that's affecting it, that they just don't tell you. So I'm actually very surprised. I've covered a million of these kind of stories where they talk about these phishing scams and things like this. I have actually not seen where something like this where FBI warns not only that, this could be a phishing and identity theft thing, they're saying, oh, and by the way, yeah, you want to delete it completely because it might be some sort of cyber attack potential. So, yeah, this, of course, after the last, 2 years of hearing that voice, Klaus Schwab, in our head, and I promised of Klaus Schwab saying, at some point we will have a horrible cyber event, and it's very likely in the next 2 years that we will have cyber events, and it will be worse than the cough, and everything will be very bad, and it will affect America and the whole world. I think that's way better than the other day's impression, but again, that's been running through all of our heads for 2 years. Now you're getting all of these stories about potential attacks, infrastructure infiltration, and of course our critical infrastructure being affected and watched, hacked into. You've got solar winds, you've got all of these different events over the past few years that really add up to that somebody is setting up to take us down. But I know a lot of people want to pretend like that hasn't been happening. Dex, about the FBI warning about these texts, and I'll actually show you, they kind of have a sample here in this article here, but it will look something like this. Your vehicle is an unpaid toll bill to avoid excessive late fees, something like this. Typical phishing scam. But what do you think, Dex, about the fact that they are kind of throwing in there that this might actually be some sort of attack?
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of hacks that are coming and taking advantage of holes in the operating systems or vulnerabilities in the operating systems, and even going so far as just clicking a link could create an opportunity for them to gain access to a phone or do something more nefarious than just let's get your credit card and steal some money from you, or let's get your identity information so we can go open up a mortgage under your name.
And keep in mind, this last year has been chocked full of these stories where they say, they said, if you're Android, don't send text to Apple. If you're Apple, don't send text to Android. They say that somebody's watching us and they're trying to get all of our information and build profiles on us. There has been stories, and of course local stories too, from Fugel family members that have said that their Comcast, that their internet, and that their cell phones were bricked for periods of times, just like I reported happened here, where not only our Comcast, our fiber optics was bricked, but our cell phones basically said no service registered. It didn't even register in a network for a period of time because something happened. And even more recently, the same thing happened, and they actually admitted, Comcast Local here said that somebody had vandalized it. Somebody had actually damaged it. So is there something bigger going on? Do you guys think that that is the case? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And Ilea, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you. And really appreciate not only you, but all of the mods that have been here almost every single show. Ilea as well, too. Ilea is... I can credit Ilea with my my asteroid rant video because she sent me that story. I think it is very crazy that they're saying... by the way, did the percentage of that asteroid go up? They said there's a 2.3% chance in 2032 that this asteroid will hit Earth. It went from 1.3% to 1.6% to 1.9% to 2.3% in a single day, which was pretty weird. Dex, that hasn't gone up at all, has it?
I haven't seen. I'll keep an eye on it.
So, in less than 24 hours, if they're going to change it that much, if that pattern holds, like I said, we're in trouble. If you haven't followed us over on X, make sure to go do so at Marfoogle, Marfoogle. You can actually find all sorts of other stuff over there. We're going to be doing spaces soon. At the very least, I'll be hosting a spaces with a couple of my friends. You might see some other creators in there as well. But I also want to have you guys pop in too. So keep that in mind. Please make sure to check back and watch the show every night for more information. But it will be very cool to do it again. We did it before, and Foogle family members were able to talk. We switched. We passed the mic around, and everybody got a chance to kind of give their thoughts. There were, in our spaces, there was actually very little arguing. Some of the spaces, it's like you get really heated, different sides that go up against each other. Our spaces have been usually pretty cool. So if you want to join, it's very easy to do. You just need X. It is kind of like a digital Zoom kind of, but you can have hundreds or even thousands or tens of thousands of people in a single live kind of broadcast. So it's very, very cool. If there's a subject you want us to cover in those spaces, then please let us know. What do you think we should talk about? And then before we move on, and again, make sure to go check out EMP Shield, last affiliate of the day. Again, make sure to go check this out at the very least. This will save your life potentially, or get you home to your family, or get you out to bug out. It protects your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, solar generators, bug outs, and even your home against an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse attack from an adversary, but it can also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. It takes less than 10 minutes to put in your car. You can do it yourself. You don't need a handyman or a mechanic to do this. You can do it. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground, and you are good to go. Just bolt into the side of your chassis and drive off into the sunset with no worries of any solar flares. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. And again, also check out the EMP Shield Micro. In the last year and a half, they released that. A lot of people said that the original, if they had a smaller car or if they had a motorcycle, that they didn't have too much room for it. It's all the same protection. It's 78% smaller. It is basically in the palm of your hand, half of a palm of your hand. So very small. Go check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Same company is outfitting agencies like DHS quietly and DOD quietly as well, and loudly helping the Texas DEMSO team protect Texas. All right, and it looks like Ilea is our top supporter tonight. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And remember, on the website, when you go over to our website, there is more to the story. You can go over to marfooglenews.com, and you can find all of the show notes. but you can also find a whole lot more. So always check that. There's going to be, on some shows, you're going to have additional web content. You're possibly going to see articles there at some point. So again, keep tuning in. And again, if you want more information about the spaces that we will be doing in the next couple weeks, then make sure to drop a comment down below. Give us a subject that we should talk about. We'll make a list of things that we'll go over, and I will try to let everybody get in and voice their views. All right, you guys, much love. Thank you so much for the support, Ilea. Thank you, Georgian. Thank you. Looks like a couple new people. Bob, thank you for subscribing. And I cannot say that name. Shashina. I think that's Shashina. Thank you, Shashina, for subscribing. And I appreciate you guys. We will see you on Monday. And thank you guys ever so much for joining us. And if there's anything that is urgent, I will do a cell phone over the weekend or get it out right away. So make sure to subscribe to not only this channel, but our other sister channel, Marfoogle News. I appreciate all of you. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. If you're in the chat, just stay there. If you are in the replay, all you have to do to get to jams is just click here.
If you really wanna know some of the things I choose, you're already here. Welcome to the family. Do more If you really wanna know some of the things I choose.